Now batting, number 20, Spencer Torkelson. You ever wonder how you might change your voice if you had a chance to call sports, whether it be a public address announcer or maybe as a play-by-play person? I remember earlier in my career, I used to try to, you drop your voice an octave. It sounds very foreign. And, you're trying to do it like the way that you hear it, whenever you walk inside a ballpark or an arena or listening on TV. Not an easy thing to do, but, having an opportunity to be a public address announcer, I always thought would be so fun. I guess I did do PA one time. We called it the PA guy. I had a chance to do it one time at my high school just for a brief high school basketball game when I was back home visiting in Delta, Ohio a couple of years ago. But it can be a bit nerve-wracking. Obviously, you want to make sure you have your pronunciations down of all the players that are available. And I do mostly, when I get a chance to put on a headset, I get to do play-by-play, which is different from the PA announcer. So the public address announcer would, when you're in the stadium, when you hear that voice, whether it's introducing a player coming to the plate like Torque, or, whether the bucket is made or first down is made, you'll hear that from the public address announcer over the loudspeakers. Well, a couple of years ago, I think it was 2019, actually, I was doing my very first game with the Detroit Pistons, and I had invited my dad to come up to come to a game. And he didn't make the discernment between what a PA announcer is as opposed to the play-by-play guy that you would hear on TV. So anyway, he comes and sits down and watches the first half of the game, and I do the call, and then at halftime we get a 10-minute break. So I leave my chair, went up to go see him just briefly to say hey, and he said, "Man, I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. I don't recognize that voice." I said, "Well, that's because you're not watching on TV. That's the PA announcer." And anyway, he was listening to John Mason, the great great public address announcer inside Little Caesars Arena for the Pistons. But this year with the Tigers, we had a new voice. His name is Zach Linfield, graduated from the University of Michigan. Really good guy, really solid voice, and he is living out the dream. Does play-by-play work, not just at Comerica Park, but at University of Michigan. Also play-by-play voice for the Michigan Panthers of the USFL. He's living out the dream, and he sat down with our Ayden Novak. Ayden's a sportscaster, graduated from Lake Orion High School, now a freshman at Delta College. He's a baseball guy, and he sat down with Zach Linfield, and I think you'll enjoy this one.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ayden Novak, and today I'm honored to be sitting down with a rising voice at Comerica Park, the public address announcer for the Detroit Tigers, Zach Linfield. Zach is a lifelong Tigers fan, a University of Michigan graduate, and he brings fresh energy and precision to every game day announcement. Zach, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us about how your journey started. When did you first realize you wanted to be a public address announcer, or more broadly, a broadcaster?
I mean, I always had a hankering for it, and there was always an itch growing up as a kid, and I knew that whatever I could do as a sports fan to get a free ticket to a game, that I would take the opportunity, and broadcasting and announcing seemed to be the best way to do it, and to be as close as possible to playing the game without actually lacing them up still. And that's kind of how I ended up getting my start. Was I had to put a football career on the shelf with an injury my senior year in high school, and that's kind of around the time where I really started to pick up the X's and O's of broadcasting and announcing. So picked it up right about there, and then here I am. Let's see, 6 years later now, after I started college, and it's going pretty well.
I mean, it's more fun when you just get to talk about the sport too. It's more relaxing, and like you said, you just get to stay involved.
Yeah, it doesn't take as much wear and tear on the body to do what I do.
Exactly. What early experiences or influences pushed you towards this path?
That injury that occurred to me in high school, it really I still go to physical therapy for it now. I had an injury in my leg that made it really difficult for me to stay on my feet and do as much of a heavy workload as I used to, particularly with being football, baseball, and basketball athlete throughout high school. And I mean, I have to give it to the mentors that I have now that have stuck with me since I was little. Dan Miller with the Lions has always been great. I've always looked up to Dan Dickerson with the Tigers. there's plenty of national guys like Sean McDonough's about to do the Tiger game here on ESPN, and he's a real influence as well. So you just got to try to make connections, and that's only on the play-by-play side. I haven't even started with the PA side of things, but sometimes that group is even tighter. So I think it's really personal influences and the people that I've gotten to meet that have really kind of lit the torch and then let me carry it as an example.
Love that. You grew up a Tigers fan and even cold called retired PA announcer Bob Virgils while you were in college. Can you walk us through that moment, what you said, how he responded, and how that conversation impacted your trajectory?
Yeah, it was simply just a cold message. I don't use Facebook, but I opened up Facebook because I probably like stalking one of the things that my mom said because I want to make sure that her stories about me are always accurate before she puts them out there to her thousands of Facebook friends. It's crazy, but yeah. Then I just looked up Bob's name one time to check in on what he was doing because I knew that he was no longer with the Tigers, and I always kind of wondered why. Didn't necessarily ask him, but I sent out a message to him through Facebook Messenger because his Facebook profile popped up when I typed in his name to Google, and just sent him a message. Said, "Hey, like you've always been a huge influence to me. You are kind of why I sound the way that I sound." And he got back to me, sent me his phone number, and we had one conversation, and that was all we had ever really talked until I met him in person for the first time at Wayne State when Michigan played at Wayne State. It's probably my senior year, so 2022. They played like an exhibition there, and I got to meet him. And then the next time I talked to him was after I had gotten the Tigers job, just to let him know that, hey, like I really followed through on what I told you I was going to try to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As the PA announcer, your voice sets tone, clarity, and pacing for the crowd. What are the biggest challenges you face on game day, whether it's dealing with noise, timing, or unexpected changes? And how do you stay calm and ready?
Well, I mean, the unexpected changes are going to happen in anything, right? Like it's not just me as an announcer or if I'm doing play by play, like things are going to happen. Um, I laugh about it quite a bit now. It's like I'm still young, right? Like the biology of a human being really doesn't finish until technically 25 years old. So my voice still cracks. So a lot of it is just making sure that my voice is still ready and prepared. Like I go through a lot of vocal rest. Like this past week was pretty calm in terms of using my voice. I didn't have any events at Michigan. I had no events at the Tigers with them being on the road. So lots of tea, lots of water, taking it easy because when your voice eventually does crack on the big microphone in front of 40,000 people, which thankfully it didn't this year, maybe once, I just wouldn't be able to recall. I just remember it happening one time in a pregame, and I was like, yeah, that's enough embarrassment for the week. Um, yeah, no, literally, it's perfectly fine to laugh at it because I laughed too afterwards, and so did all my coworkers. So, um, yeah, man, just dealing with unexpected change. Now, I feel like that kind of falls into unexpected change because how do you adapt after you don't make a mistake, but your voice does because you think at this point that you'd be able to trust it, and then it slaps you across the face, and you're like, okay, time to reset. So
Yeah, I've felt that too before because I commentate a lot of football games, basketball games. Your voice cracking on the air, it's not a good feeling. It is pretty embarrassing. And it's like,
just keep rolling, man. It's all you
yeah,
can do.
just keep going with it and then just laugh about it afterwards.
That's right.
So, what's your process for preparing for a game? From arriving early to coordinating with the production team, checking pronunciations, and rehearsing announcements, any rituals or habits you rely on?
When I get there, so I'm there pretty early for let's just use Tiger games as an example. Um, Anything I do in play by play, I feel I over prepare way too much. I never use all the material that I prepare with. That's I guess that's a sign of I'm doing things right probably. But in terms of public address for the Tigers, just because that's the most prominent position I have now, I'm there pretty early. First thing I do when I get in there, besides say hello to everybody, is I get myself usually 2 cups of tea, down those, get my voice right. Um, Always go check in most of the time. If it's not a returning team, I'll go check in with the radio crew for the opposing team to make sure that if I don't know who they are, like I'm not going to go ask the Royals team for Bobby Witt Jr. I'm not going to go ask Tom Hamilton with the Guardians for Stephen Kwan's name. Like I'm going to go in there for the new guys that might be in the bullpen that might get just an inning of work late in the game because Major League Baseball, I play MLB The Show. I play with those guys, and I feel like I should know their names pretty well by now. So I do my best with that, but it's just making sure you check off all the boxes, say hello to the people that you work with every day, and foster a good working environment.
So, being on the mic at Comerica Park is a high visibility role. What does it mean to you personally, being a Tigers fan and now the voice in the stadium? And how do you hope to leave your mark on this position?
I'd like to answer that second question separately because in about 50 years, I'd like to see like what was the impact that I had. That's how long I'd hope to be there. But there's really no for sure knowing until that day will come. If that day were to be right now, I'd like to look back and just say, hey, like I hope Tigers fans knew that I was simply just one of them with a very large microphone. That's really it. I just go to the park every day. I'm essentially just another one of the 40,000 people that show up wearing the Old English D and have fun at a baseball game because that's exactly what it should be. It shouldn't be too stressful. Like, yeah, I stress out about the result of the game because I am a fan, but I'm there to be there for the fan experience, and that's kind of the mark that I'd like to leave with being a Tiger fan and an announcer after all these years.
That's a great way to put it because it is just fun in the
Yeah,
end. Because like even though you got that big microphone and everybody hears your voice at the ballpark every single game, it's fun just to be there.
yeah,
Just be
absolutely.
there for the game.
It's a free ticket.
Exactly. And over time, as the game day experience evolves with the technology, fan expectations, in stadium audio and visuals, how do you see the role of PA announcer evolving? And what changes do you expect or hope to bring?
I mean, I don't foresee the role of a PA announcer ever really revolving too much outside of. I mean, like the ancillary stuff that I'm able to do is like if my co-part Kara Wolfbauer, who's the incredible host for the Tigers, if she were to ever miss, um, I get to do the PA and I get to host, so my voice gets no breaks. Um, so like that part of it's fun, and the stuff that I do here at Michigan is kind of the same. Like I'll play the two-headed role sometimes, and I really enjoy it because I love hosting, but I find more of a home behind the PA mic, which again comes with time. So I don't really know. It's a good question how PA could adapt. Um, I guess it's more so just how do I adapt to the different roles that I end up finding myself in because basketball is so much different than baseball. Baseball is so much different than football. Like my voice is going to sound different no matter what I do. I try to keep it somewhat streamlined. That way, if someone were to go to a Michigan basketball game and then go to the Tigers, they're like, that's the same guy. Like at least you can kind of connect the dots there. So I mean, I think it's more so you being adaptable than the roles being adaptable.
Right. What's the most memorable moment you've had announcing at Comerica? Whether it be a play, a
uh,
crowd reaction, or anything that gave you chills.
the first opportunity that I had to do a playoff game at Comerica Park was last year, and I was still living in North Carolina. I had just really become a part of the rotational part of the PA rotation, I guess, at Comerica, as they were figuring out the position for this year, 2025, and I couldn't believe when I got the call that they asked me to come up and do the playoffs. And I probably knew that it was because one of my mentors probably couldn't make it. So I was like, I was probably choice number two. But I mean, why would you ever say no to a position like that? So that night that they asked me, I drove straight through the night to get to Comerica, and I made the night game the next night. And I'll never forget, for whatever reason, Aiden, it sticks out to me the announcement before the last batter when I announced Cleveland's catcher Austin Hedges, because I was a Michigan fan growing up, so Seven Nation Army was a pretty prominent song, and I brought up the idea to the DJ. I said, "Hey, like, what are we gonna play? Like, should we play Seven Nation Army throughout this last at bat?" Now, mind you, this is 45,000 waving orange rally towels and Seven Nation Army, one of my favorite songs at a stadium's blaring on the PA, and then all I get to say is catcher number 27, Austin Hedges. But I'll never forget saying that name at the end of that game, and Tyler Holton struck him out on 3 pitches. And the roar of the crowd right after that was, that's what you're built for, man. That's why I have this position now, is for moments like that.
I am so glad you said that because I was at that game. I
Oh
was
yeah, it
there.
was incredible.
I remember that moment exactly. The Seven Nation Army. I had my rally towel. That was so electric. I was in the third deck. It was shaking the whole time.
I'm
I
telling you,
was
man.
I had so much fun. I'm so happy you said that. That was amazing.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that was absolutely electric. So I got a couple rapid fire questions for you, just out of curiosity.
Let's do it.
What was your favorite Tigers era or player?
The run around 2012 for sure. And I was a pitcher growing up, so it was always Verlander for me. I'll always love Miggy, but for whatever reason, I had a huge love for Jose Iglesias.
Oh
So
yeah,
almost the entire decade of 2010s, the first half of it was my Tiger era.
yeah. Iglesias he was so fun to watch in the field. He was so clean out there. Best stadium you visited for announcing or as a fan?
Oh, I mean Rose Bowl, easily the Rose Bowl.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not gonna count Michigan or Detroit sports because that'd be biased and cheating. But yeah, no, I'll take the Rose Bowl or Beaver Stadium, Penn State.
All right. A voice announcer you admire or try to emulate?
Admire Jason Benetti. Emulate. See, like I'm so in my head as like try to be your own person now. Because I used to try to emulate like Anthony Bellino, who's a PA guy at Michigan, just because that's who I really remember first listening to him and Bob Virgil's emulating. But Bob always had like a growl, and I have over time I've taught myself how to do it, and I think that's a big reason why they like having me in the PA chair there at Comerica is because I have the growl in my voice during the vowels or the R's. So like Riley Green, you'll always hear me growl his name at Comerica.
Last one here. When you're not announcing games, what do you enjoy doing?
Oh, being one of the best NCAA 26 players in the world.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that.
No, honestly, man, and I'm gonna out myself. I'm a huge karaoke guy. I love karaoke and country music, and it's really a big reason why I'm able to do what I do now because I used to be very stage scared. I had big stage fright, and I fully got myself over that by going and making a fool of myself at karaoke, and it became a hobby, and I have tried to actually sound good over time. So that's probably one of my favorite things to do now.
That's awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for your time and walking us through your journey, your craft, and your love for the game. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to the Tigers fans?
Keep believing, man. Always, always. Never count a team out until all 27 outs are over.
That's perfect. Thank you again, Zach. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You got it. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, that was Zach Linfield alongside sportscaster Ayden Novak. You heard him talking about the voice cracking a little bit. Anybody, if you talk to anybody in sports, a lot of guys and gals, they will shift to drinking tea, making sure they preserve their voice. But voice cracking is a real thing. I'm much older than Zach Linfield. My voice still cracks from time to time, but like you said, you just keep moving forward. Just human nature. Sometimes that's going to happen. But anyway, so the next time you're out there, be thinking about that. The public address announcer, you always hear the voice, and you wonder how that person got into the chair. Zach Linfield, living out his dream as being a Michigan guy and getting an opportunity to call Tigers baseball inside Comerica Park. So good stuff there. When we come back, we are going to talk high school football and get you geared up for Friday night, which should be a pretty good matchup between Anderson and Trenton. That is coming your way right after this.